Hey gamers, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Emulator. It's your host Dylan. In today's video review, we're going to be building a MuOS firmware setup using the latest Funky Jacandra release, as you can see here. I'll be using some of my previous SD cards that were loaded with MuOS Silly Goose and the initial Jacandra release, which you've seen videos before. I'm going to guide you through my process of backing up the necessary files from both cards, reformatting with the latest firmware, and then migrating data back over. I'll be actually loading a select amount of ROMs and using Scrappy's latest artwork application to make things look sexy and sleek, just like a good EDC should be. So grab your handheld and follow along. You might find a tweak or two that gives you smoother gameplay or just makes your device run a bit nicer as we go beyond the emulator. And hey, if you're into this handheld videos, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. Alright, enough waiting, let's jump in. So quick disclaimer. My install was not the best, so bear with me, and if you want to skip ahead to the timeline tab of Let's Go Gaming, where I set up some of my platforms with preferred cores. So let's go. Hello gamers, just wanted to follow up with what my host was sharing. Is what we've got here is we've got two versions of MuOS. We've got the Jacandra, which was released back in February, and we've got also the Silly Goose. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take both of these platforms and we're going to combine them by saving the files and then actually installing Funky Jacandra, which was their little bit of an update right after the Jacandra was released. So basically I'm going to have you watch me do a walkthrough of basically how I would do it by setting up one device by combining it but from the two. So what we're going to do is, you can see I've got all my games here. This is my list of games in Jacandra. So what we're going to do is, it's also got artwork. So we're going to go ahead and take some of these games, not all of them, and we're going to go ahead and take a batch from this device in this firmware version. So you can see got a bunch of pinball games I've been working on, so all those are actually going to be processed over to the Funky Jacandra. And then if we go over here, when Silly Goose came out, there was a lot of games that I had actually downloaded, so quite a few PlayStation portable games. We're going to go ahead and carry those over as well and combine everything together in one device. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take one of the cards out of this. We'll do Silly Goose first. So we're going to go ahead and go to shutdown, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the SD card. Go ahead and put it in the computer. I'll let you see the files that I'm going to be saving and then backing up right now. And then what we'll do is we'll take from that backup and build the new firmware. So now that the device is off, let's move to the computer. So here on the computer, what I've done is I've created a folder on a backup hard drive, and I've got MuOS backup files for Funky. So this is where we're going to place our ROMs and saves and themes and any other applications that we need to add back, and I'll show you those. And then here is the new Funky Jacandra that we're going to be installing here. So I'll show you how to do that using Rufus. So we're going to go ahead and open MuOS backup files for Funky. And what we're going to do is over here, I'm going to drag this, is my MuOS ROMs, which is basically my SD card. And we're going to go ahead and open up Archive. And you can see there's quite a few programs here. What we're going to do is back those up. We're going to go ahead and take ports, which is basically all my programs that I use for ports, my ROMs. And we'll use the BIOS and the saves and the port master and the themes. So there's quite a few things that we're going to actually add from here. So to be honest with you, we're really backing up everything except for here. So what I would do is basically take these files here. We're going to do a copy. We're going to go ahead and put them in this backup file into a paste. As you can see, it's actually out of space because the card is too big. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a cancel. And we're going to put you on hold for a second until I get another drive that's going to be able to handle this. Okay folks, I was able to find another hard drive that I can back up everything to. So here's MuOS backup files for Funky. We have nothing there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take MuOS down in the left hand corner and open it in a new window. Here it is. And we're going to go ahead and basically just take these 5 files. We're going to do a copy. We're going to open up Funky. We're going to do a paste. Now you can see these files go through. There's about 65, 70. It's going to take about 40 minutes. So I will be back after this transfer is done on this first SD card. So after 45 minutes of transferring those files, you can see here's my archives. Everything's backed up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the SD card, which is down below here, I believe, or a little bit lower, right around here. We can see that. There's the MuOS SD card here. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. So that has actually been removed. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the earlier version of Jacandra in, which is going to load up. There it is. And you can see Mustard OS content. So again, we're going to go back over here. We're going to take these same files. We're going to do a copy. We're going to go back. And this is the original ones. And we're going to do a paste. And basically it's going to do a lot of overwriting or adding. So that seems to be taking, it won't take as long. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause until this portion has been completed. And then we'll go ahead and get our card formatted. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to take Jacandra, the first version that came out, which is here. As you can see, I've got games listed, not as many. But again, it has artwork. We're going to go ahead and carry those over. And primarily when I set up my new system, I'm going to actually put mostly ports and pinball. And I've been dabbling with Ridge Racer. So those are going to be my primary ones. So there's going to be a lot of deletion when we do that. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shut this down as well. And then we're going to move to the computer and do the same thing with the files. And I'll show you how we're going to do that, combining with the existing files. So stay tuned. So we are back 25 minutes later approximately. We transferred all the files, so basically the 2 versions have been combined into all these 5 files. So if we go to ROMs, you can see these are all my ROMs that I'm going to have listed, but we're not going to be using all the ROMs that are in each folder, as you can see here. So we're going to trim it back a little bit initially just to get things set up, and then we'll add some ones that I have on another hard drive later. But we will include the save states as well. So if we go to archives, you'll see all these. What we're going to do is we'll go ahead and add any of the themes or arty or Scrappy as well included into the new version. So without that, let's get that going. So we're going to be going ahead and using Rufus. So here's Rufus. We're going to go ahead and use my previous one from Silly Goose, which is basically this, which you can't see very well, but it is a Samsung Evo 128 gigabyte A2 U3. We're going to go ahead and put that into my SD card reader, which then it's going to populate the MuOS ROM here. So we're going to go to Rufus, and it seemed to have crashed. So there we go. We're up and running. Here's our ROM. We're going to go ahead and select our image. So we're going to go ahead and go to my backup files. We're going to go to MuOS backup files. Oh, we've moved it. That's right. We had to go move it to a different drive. So here we go. Here's the zipped file that I downloaded from their website, which I'll include in a link. We should have unzipped it. So what we're going to do is let's go back. we're going to go to hard drive, there's a folder. We're going to go ahead and do a 7-zip, and we're going to extract to the images here. So here's the folder that it's going to be located in. We're going to go ahead and use that. So while that's extracting, we'll pull the right file. So my apologies. We'll get this image file extracted. We'll be right back. So we've got that folder extracted. We're going to go ahead and delete the zip file, free up some space, and we'll double click that, and you can see this is the disk image. So when we go to Rufus, we're going to go to select, we're going to open that folder, we're going to take that image, we're going to open it, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and format it with the new firmware. So go ahead and press start. It's going to erase my existing card, and there it's going to do this process right now of formatting the card and installing the new firmware. So we'll come right back. So we're done formatting the card, so let's go ahead and do a close. And now I believe we should, it's not showing up in my computer over here, not seeing it listed. We're going to go ahead and take it out for a second, and we're going to put it back in. And it should be over here at removable L, but we're not seeing it yet. So let's go ahead and take it out of the device. Where did our folder go? There we are, and where were we at? We were here, and we are here. So these are the files that we still need to grab. So we're going to grab that SD card, and we're going to actually initially boot it into the device for the first time before we do any transferring of files. And let's see what happens. Make sure that we're working okay. So we're back over to the device, and we're going to do a first boot. So just so you know, here's the card, a little bit better lighting now. This is a Samsung Evo 128 A2. I've been using these in most of my devices and have had no issues. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. We're going to boot it for the first time and see what happens. Well, we've got MuOS. So it is loading up of the first boot. Let's go ahead and get it through that process. As you can see, there's a disclaimer. And there we go. Now we're set up. So you can see, without the glare, we'll move that out of the way. We've got everything set up. So we're going to do the installer. We're going to go ahead and press A. We're going to set our time zone. So we're going to go up. We're in the Pacific. We're going to go down date. Month is the 4th. And the day is the 24th. And the time right now is currently 10 if we're in the 24-hour, and it is 20. So we'll put 20 down. So it's 10:20 p.m. Notification is in 12-hour. We're going to do B to save. Language, we don't need to change anything there. We'll go scrolling down to English, American. We're going to go ahead and do A for install. Now it's going to be installing MuOS. It's got a little background music. It's going through the credits, the developers. Took about a minute, maybe a minute and a half to install it. Let it scroll through that. It's still listing all the developers that have inputted into MuOS. They're each one being categorized. This one's referring to nights. Still going through it. Just about wrapping it up. Now it's going to reboot. So the firmware has been installed entirely. We'll let that reboot. So we're running with the new MuOS Funky Jacandra, running on the TSP. And then since during that time of the transferring the files, I actually sorted through my ROMs and cleaned up what I'm actually going to be transferring over. So here's our front end, and right now basically if we were to click here, we have no content. So we're going to go ahead and shut down, take the SD card back out, and load it up with ROMs, BIOS, and saves, and themes and artwork. So let's move over back to the computer. So back to the computer, and what I've realized is that when I've loaded the SD card in, it's not showing up because it's an exFAT file, and for Windows you're not able to access an exFAT. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out this Disk Genius program, and what we're going to do is I went ahead and installed Win32 Diskimager, and we're going to go ahead and install it one more time using a different Diskimager. So we're going to go ahead and take our drive, which is not even listed. So what we're going to have to do really is reformat this drive. So we're going to go back to Disk Genius, show you how I'd have to do this. It's going to open up Disk Genius. And we're going to reformat the card in FAT32. So then we can actually view the card. And we're going to have to reboot it again for the first time. So a couple things that I've hiccuped up there, but just kind of walking through it, you'll understand some struggles that might come across. So using Rufus didn't seem to work, or there was a setting that it did not allow it to work. Here we go. We're going to open this up. Here's our card. We're going to go ahead and right click, and we're going to delete all partitions. We're going to go ahead and do a save. We're going to do OK. Now it's going to be thinking, and hopefully it's going to delete all the partitions that were on there, and then I can format it in a FAT32. Let us do its process. We'll be right back. So here we are. What we're going to do is we're going to do a quick partition. You can see it's FAT32. I was using a different card, so we'll go ahead and just put MuOS without the space. And we're going to do just one partition. We're going to press OK. It's going to create a FAT32, which then should be listed here on one of these drives, and it does not seem to be showing up. So let's go ahead and take out one of the card readers. It seems to have frozen. Let me see what's going on behind the scenes. Alright, so it did format the card. We should be able to refresh this screen, and it should have been listed, and it is not. So something's still going on with Disk Genius. Here we are. So we've got MuOS as a blank disk. We can go ahead and close out of Disk Genius. We're going to go open up our image writer again. Now that we have a drive listed, we're going to go ahead and locate that folder, which is going to be on this drive here, MuOS. We're going to open up this. We're going to take that image. We're going to open it, and we're going to write it. So what we should be expecting is a FAT32. So while it's going through the process, we'll be right back. So we're just about wrapping up the formatting the card with Win32 Diskimager, since Rufus didn't work, and our write was successful. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. Now actually, when we go over to our computer, we do not see it listed yet, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of this. We're going to go ahead and take our SD card out and put it back in the device for our first boot 2.0. So we're back at it, trying it again. We're going to go ahead and press power. SD card's already been inserted. We've got MuOS. That's a good sign. So it did format again. Let it boot through its process just like it did earlier. We'll turn down the volume. Let it run its course. Put our month in and our date. Now we're at 1040. And we're going to install. Go ahead and turn the volume down. So we're looking at a couple hours if you figure you're backing up your ROMs, or if you're starting with a new system, having to load your data. You're probably looking at a couple hours. Now it's going to go through all the acknowledgments. And after this, we'll go ahead and remove the SD card again. Go ahead and load it into the computer. You should expect to see MuOS set up so we can add our ROMs, BIOS, saves, themes, and artwork. We're almost to the end. Now it's going to reboot. We'll let that do its process. I actually put it on this little stand here while it's rebooting. There we go. And there we go. So we've got all the main menu. There's not much we can do yet until we add our ROMs, so we're going to go ahead and power off. Let's go back to the computer, see if that SD card is there. So, after 2 failed attempts of trying to show my SD card with MuOS on it, I was able to go to their Discord page and get an answer that Windows cannot see the micro SD card. So what I did was I went ahead and opened up the link in the browser. So we're going to walk through that and get this card fixed. The card is actually in the computer. So here what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go to disk management. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in my computer, disk management. Why it's opening up a browser when you type in disk management. It's actually called create and format hard disk partitions. So we're going to bring this down here with the instructions right below. Get this loaded up. So this will help you out if you're not seeing your SD card as well. I've got some external hard drives installed on it, so it's taking a little bit of time to load. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to locate ROMs. That's that folder right there. We're going to right click it, and what it's asking to do is change the drive letter and paths. We want to assign a drive letter, so we're going to do an add, assigning the drive letter L. OK. So now we go ahead and go through this minimize, minimize, and now we're showing up, here we go, the SD card. So here's our SD card. Here's the files we're going to be able to drop right in. So let's go ahead and drag this over here. This is our SD card. Whoops. Let's bring it over here for a second to get my shortcut. Here we go. So we've got our funky files. We've got our SD card. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up what we backed up. We're going to go ahead and take these ROMs. Since they've been cleaned up, we're going to do a copy. We're going to go over to the SD card, and we're going to do a paste. Now it's going to transfer approximately about 30 to 40 gigs of data. So be about 15-20 minutes, and we'll be back. So we've got the ROMs just about transferred over. As you can see, I'm at 97%. And next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to our archive file that's on our backup Funky. And actually the only thing that we're going to really be capturing from over here is the Scrappy. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a copy. And we're going to come over to our archives over here. And we're going to go ahead and paste it in there. And then what we're also going to do is go over to the MuOS. And you can see the BIOS is listed here. We're going to go ahead, go back one. What I did was I pulled my BIOS out of my MuOS folder, and we're going to go ahead and take this, and we're going to copy it and paste it. So that'll drop all my BIOS in with my ROMs. We'll go ahead and go back one. We've still got ports. So ports is a big file as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take ports here. And we've got our ports here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. Go back over to our Funky backup. We're going to do a copy of that as well. We're going to go ahead and do a paste over here. It's going to go ahead and overwrite that folder as it shows this. Replaces files in the destination. We're going to go ahead and click that. And what we're going to do is we're also going to go to MuOS. We're going to go down to Port Master. Not the Port Master I wanted. I believe it actually is already on my ROMs. So, if I'm correct, we've got about 6 to 7 gigs of files that are being transferred over for ports for all the games that were existing there. So showing you what games I had existing, I had 2048, Apparatus, Belatro, Blackout, Celeste, and a list of others that are down here. So all those are being transferred over as well, just like my ROMs were. So we'll go ahead and get that going. That's going to take about 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll come back, pull that SD card out, and put it back into the device, and let's get booted in gaming. Alright, now our camera and lighting got a little off. There we go. Let's get rid of the shadow. So all the ports have been moved over to the ROM, or the SD card, and now we're going to go ahead and remove the SD card and go ahead and put it into the device. Wish us good luck. So we are back to the device. We're going to go ahead and put the SD card in it. A few things while I was trying to check earlier why it was not setting up my ROMs. I went ahead and connected Wi-Fi. I'll show you where that is. We've got an image, boot logo. So MuOS is still there. There we go. If we go to explore content based on this, there we go. Here's all our ROMs. We've got Slipstream. We've got Nintendo 64. We're going to go ahead and get artwork. So everything is put together. Perfect. We go scroll down, Game Boy Advance. We've got a selection of games, a lot of pinball. We're going to scroll down to PlayStation Portable, and a lot of racing games as well. So let's go ahead and go in and just make sure we're connected to the Wi-Fi. We're going to go down to Configuration. We're going to go to Connectivity. We're going to go to Network. And right now it's showing that I am actually on an IP address, so we are connected. So what we're going to also need to do now is we're going to go ahead and back out of this. Our BIOS is in there before we're going to do a little bit of artwork. So we're going to go to Applications. We're going to go to Archive Manager. That's where we actually put Scrappy. There he is. We're going to go ahead and click on that with an A to install it. So this is going to add artwork. So we can get some images located on the screen next to the games. So now when I back out of this, as you can see down in my applications, I've got Scrappy. And you can see the other options as well. Dingus Commander is a file manager, Moonlight, Portmaster, PPSSPP settings, RetroArch settings, RGB controller for the lights, Scrappy, and then Scum VM. So we're going to go to Scrappy. This is our latest version. So what we've got is we're going to go ahead and open the right hand corner. We're going to select what kind of artwork we want to put. So for the TSP, we're going to scroll through and we're going to do the Cover 2D TSP. We're going to go down before we actually proceed with scraping all or start scraping. We're going to go to Advanced Tools. And in here, what you're going to need to do is you need to set up your account information. There should be a setting in here. I've done this one other time. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and do scraping all. We're going to do start scraping. I'm going to pass on the setting up the screen scraper right now. So there we go. Got about 115 ROMs. So now it's basically going to go ahead and launch the scraper. This will take a bit of time, so I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause for a second until it's complete while it's scanning the data. So we've completed the Scrappy artwork project and we're rebooting the system right now. It's got a new front end loader screen, so now we're in orange. So I'm guessing it changes. We didn't really make that change earlier, but that's okay. So let's go to Explore Content. Now we should be able to go down our list. Slipstream did not get an image. Let's go to Nintendo 64. And there we go. Now we've got artwork to each of the games. Nice. We can go down through Nintendo DS. Did not pick up any of those for images. Interesting. Nintendo Entertainment System. There we go. Pinball games that I was selecting. We've got images. Game Boy. Images. Except for this one here, so maybe I'll have to look for Space Pinball. Game Boy Advance. Got all the images. There might be a few missing, so I'll have to add those manually. And I can show those in a tutorial later. So we'll scroll down to Dreamcast, the two games that I had selected. We'll go to PlayStation. Few missing, few there. The D-pad going down, see how quickly it goes. So go Ridge Racer, there we go, and Sony PSP. We've got some images there. Looks like some of them might have been cut off, so we'll have to make some modifications a little bit later, but that just kind of gives you an example of the artwork that was done here. So that's under Explore Content. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go over to Configuration and set up a theme. I don't really prefer the orange. So we'll go to Customization. We're going to go to Theme Picker. We're going to go to Theme Download. You can see that these are the default ones that were sent. So it's going to download a theme preview. We'll get this set up all nice and pretty. And then we'll at least hit one game per platform, just to see and make sure that it does boot correctly. So right now it's downloading the theme previews. We're almost there. Should populate a catalog of what is available, or it's going to be adding to our listing, and then we can select one from there. So there we go. These are the selections. You can kind of scroll through. I think ours is more in the S. We're going to go with this theme, the Screen Light Neon Glass. We're going to download it. So we've got some nice artwork, a couple things that have to be cleaned up. We'll get ourselves a theme. Let's get to some gaming. We already passed a couple hurdles, so we're good to go. What are you currently playing right now on your MuOS build? Chime in, let me know. What kind of theme do you have created? We're almost there. Now I believe it's going to install it. There we go, it's extracting the file. So we're going to go ahead and go back. And now we have a theme picker, so you can see that screen light will be there. We're going to go ahead and select it by pressing A. And now you can see my theme has changed. I'm going to exit out of this. And we've got games over here. So now we're able to get to something. So we're just going to run through a couple of these quickly, ones that I would probably recommend making changes on your settings. So for MAME Arcade, for Slipstream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to confirm my core. So by doing that, I'm going to press X. So here is your content directory. We don't have a core assigned, so we're going to go ahead and use the FB GeoNeo. So we'll go to Core Downloader, and I believe we're going to scroll down here to a listing. Alright, so it's going to be at the top under Arcade. We're going to go with the FB Alpha 2012. So now it's going to load that core. So when I go to arcade, here we go. Here's our selections. So what we've done is we've added it, the FBA 2012, but we're actually going to be using the FB Neo through RetroArch. So we'll go ahead and select that. We'll go ahead and press A to execute the game. And there we go. It's booting right up Slipstream. Turn up your volume. You can see the bar that comes up on the screen. Overlay. There we go. So it is working. I'm going to go ahead and press Menu and X, and that actually opens up your RetroArch menu. So we're going to go ahead and just close this right now. We've got it working. There we go. Next, we'll hit Nintendo 64, show you the core that I'm using. We'll hit Ridge Racer. We're going to press X. So the default is MuOS 64 plus Next. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to the Nintendo 64 cores. And you can see they've got the glides, the rises, and the next. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a download to see if there's any other additional cores. So we'll go to Core Downloader. And we'll scroll down real quick back to Nintendo 64. We're going to download all the cores that they have available so we can get the complete listing. We're going to hit back one button, then now we're going to locate where Nintendo 64 is, and actually you can see the ludicrous 2K22 Extreme Amped is listed. That's the one we're actually going to be using. That's what I recommend using. So as far as the governor, performance is basically their highest setting that they have, so we'll leave it at performance. And we should be able to hit Ridge Racer. And again, this is running through RetroArch. Boots up rather well. Sound is great. So we're good to go there. Going to go ahead and press Menu and X. That goes into your sub-menu for RetroArch. We're just going to go ahead and close the content. No real changes that we need to do on RetroArch at this moment. There we go. Exit out. We'll go over to the Nintendo DS. So mostly I've got a lot of pinball. So we're going to go to Dream Pinball. Let's go with X to get our core. We don't have a core assigned. Let's go ahead and do the core downloader to get all the additional cores that are available for the Nintendo DS. We'll go ahead and scroll down. There's Nintendo DS. So it's going to download all of them off their archive. So we'll have all of them available to be able to choose from. I'll show you the recommended one that I prefer. There we go. So the core downloader, we'll go back one. Now we're going to go down. Nintendo DS. So you can see that there's about 5 different options. What I recommend is the Drastic Advanced. So we'll go ahead and select that. We'll keep it at performance. We've got artwork. We're going to go ahead and press A to select and run it. Now you can see the small screen here. And you can see it going up and down. So what we're going to do is press Menu key and X, and that's going to actually open up into the sub-menu Advanced Drastic. So now what we can do is go to Change Options. We can do Screen Swap. We want to change that to a yes. We want to go ahead and show the speed. You want to scroll all the way down. My recommendations is fixing the main 2D screen and disabling edge marking. Anything that's related to 3D, I would leave that off. And then what we're going to do is when we get down to the bottom, we're going to exit Save for All Games. Now the steward option, that's basically your screens. So you can see the screen here. Whoops. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll till we have a single screen. They don't have actually a single screen option. The best that we have right here would be this. So we'll go ahead and select that. And nothing more that I would recommend changing at this point. So what you're doing is if you're using your R2 trigger, that's going to actually flip the two screens. You're not going to see the volume because it's an external emulator core that's being used. I'm going to go and press select. So if I press my right trigger R2, you can see the image there. Press it again, I've got my image here. So here's my score, but here's going to be the game. You're going to use your left and right triggers up here. And there we go. So this is able to be used on a single screen. So go ahead and press menu and X. That goes to the submenu. That shows you the Nintendo DS options. We're going to go and exit out of that. And we'll go down to Nintendo Entertainment System. So you can see there's the pinballs. What we're going to do is just show you the option of the cores. I'm not really going to get into this. These are the basic games. I'm going to go ahead and press X. And you can see that the core is already defaulted to the FCE RetroArch core. But if we go ahead and select A for that, and we go down to Nintendo ES, you can see these are the three core options that they have available. This one's actually been flagged as their default, but then you also have the option in Nestopia or Quick NES, and these are all run through RetroArch. And you can see it's assigned to the directory, meaning that this is assigned to those files, so we don't have to necessarily go in there to change anything. So we'll go ahead and get out of that. If I were to go to Nintendo Game Boy, go ahead and press X. You can see the default is Gambit. So we'll leave that as it is. Game Boy Advance, do the same thing. They've defaulted the MGBA, which is what I also recommend. So we'll keep that as the default. Got a list of different pinball games that are here. So if we're going to pick up a selection here of hardcore pinball, you should be able to press A and execute. It's going to open a RetroArch. We haven't set up Retro Achievements yet, but the game will boot right up. Again, menu and X is going to open up your RetroArch, and actually RetroArch is using 1.22.2 as their version. So we'll go ahead and close the content, and it reverts back to the menu of the listing of games under that platform. So Game Boy Color, we'll go select them. We'll go ahead and press X, and again, they've already defaulted the Gambit RetroArch core for that as well. Nintendo Super NES, they should have a change, so what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and press X, and they've defaulted the SNES 9X RetroArch core. So if again I wanted to see if they had other options, I'd go ahead and press A. I'd go ahead and press down here to Super NES. Here we go, and you can see there's 4 different cores that are available, and the star is being what the SNES 9X is assigned to the directory. But if you wanted to try a different core for a different game, you'd be able to just go ahead and select that. If we were going to go with Beatles Superfast, we could go ahead and select it. You'll see it's now listed here. We'll reset it back to that default here of SNES 9X. Go ahead and get out of it. PC Engine, I've got one pinball game. You can see it's using the Beetle PCE Fast as their default. We're not going to make any changes there. Ports, we'll follow up on that at a later date in another video. We're going to go down to Dreamcast. We'll go ahead and select that core. So here they've got some standalones, so we're going to go ahead and press X. They're using the default RetroArch core Flycast VL, which works really well. But if I wanted to go ahead and see what the other selections are, let's go ahead and hit Core Downloader to make sure we've got all of them based on that platform. We'll scroll down till we get to Sega Dreamcast, which we're not seeing or I'm missing. Looks to me like it has been already, it's not on the list, so it must already be included in there. So we'll just go ahead and scroll down to them. And you can see there's 5 cores listed. And they're actually Flycast external, so it would open up an external Flycast if you're familiar with it, using it on other custom firmwares. We're not going to get into that today. So we're going to go ahead and leave it at the default Flycast VL. So if we were going to go with Marvel vs. Com 2, let's go ahead and just select it. Opening up the screen, no problem. And there we go, beautiful image. And there we go. Sounds just about right. Volume, D-pad or joystick, able to move around to select your characters. Not a problem there at all. So go ahead, menu and X. It's going to open up your RetroArch menu. As you can see down there, the Flycast core is being used. We're going to go ahead and close it. So it did close out. There we go. So there is a little bit of delay when it closes out the core. So Game Gear, we've got Sega Game Gear. Got one pinball game. And they're using Pico Drive. So we're not going to change that at all at this moment. We're going to use Sega Mega Drive. Got a couple pinball games there. And they're using the Gen Plus GX. But if I wanted to make a change there, let's go ahead and see those selections. I know there's a few cores available. I want to say that was the Mega Drive. See, so you've got that as your standard. But then you've also got it where it could be a widescreen or the Pico Drive. So those are options that are available for you. And we're going to get down to Sony PlayStation. So these are the games that are on my list that I've selected. Here's Dragon Beat Legend of Pinball. It's a Japanese game. Let's go ahead and hit X. So they're defaulting to the PCSX rearmed RetroArch, which is what I recommend. But if we wanted to see what the other options that they have available to tinker around with on your own, let's go and press A. Go to our core downloader. We're going to go to Sony PlayStation here. It's going to go ahead and download the archive of all the updated cores that are available. Going to go back out of that. And you can see there's 4 different cores: Beetle, PSX, Duck Station, Swan Station, and again PCSX rearmed. We're going to go ahead and just stick with the PCSX rearmed. And instead of on demand for the governor, we're going to go ahead and do performance, kind of raise it for the RAM. And we'll go ahead and press A to select. Most everything we've run is off RetroArch. I think the only standalone that we've used is for the NDS, and then what we'll be using for the PSP. Oh, our screen went blank. Unless it's loading. There we go. Not really sure what happened there. Let's go with resume. No changes. So let's go ahead and close out of that real quick. Let's go with Kiss Pinball. Oh, and that defaulted as a dead. So we're not going to hit a pinball this time, I believe. Let's go with R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. And there we go, opening it up on RetroArch. Taking a little bit of time to get going. There we go. We'll just do a quick race. Let's do time attack. Quickly jump right into this game. And there we are, Ridge Racer. Sounds perfect. Working really well. So, there you go with Ridge Racer. Type 4. So, we've shown off that, using that core with the PlayStation. Go ahead and close that content out. We'll lastly wrap it up with the PSP. So, we've got Sony PlayStation, PSP. Go ahead and get over here, and we'll select Medieval Resurrection as our example this time. We're going to go ahead and press A to select. So now if you were to press X, you're going to see it's going to be already defaulted as a PPSSPP core for external. We're going to keep that as performance, which is defaulted. We're going to go and press A to execute it. So this opens up the back end of the PPSSPP emulator core by pressing the menu key. So we're going to go in here and check our settings. So buttons are reversed. Your B is actually your enter. So we're going to go ahead and press enter for settings. See what they've got set up. They've got the back end OpenGL, rendering resolution 1 times. We're going to change that to 2 times. We don't necessarily need it to be at full screen. It automatically is set up as full screen for most of these games. We're going to go ahead and leave the VSync off, but we're going to keep the replace textures on. Frame skipping, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set that at 2. That's kind of what I recommend. We'll do an auto frame skip. Now down here in the alternative speeds, one is unlimited, one is disabled. We're going to go ahead and take that disabled and put it to unlimited. Press OK. We're going to go ahead and scroll through these speed hacks. Nothing gets changed there. Performance, nothing gets changed there. We want to make sure that our texture upscaling is right here. Upscaling type is XBRZ. And for our texture filtering, the anastrophic filtering, which is right here, is off. We're going to go ahead and change that. Whoop. Touchy on the buttons. So we'll go back there again. We're going to go ahead and change that to 8 times. It'll lighten up the screen a little bit. And we're going to put a frame counter on it. Then we're going to go up to controls. We're going to go to control mapping. We're going to go auto configure to make sure that our controller is configured for the Trimui Smart Pro. You saw the changes there. We're going to go ahead and do back. We're going to go back. And we're going to continue. Now you have your frames per second over here in the right hand corner. It's not necessary to force it to put full screen when the game is already played on a PSP in a full screen 16:9.
In a time
Audio sounds good. We'll just load the game and get a little walk around. Image is great on this. They've done a really nice job on this firmware.
Dad's crypt. The best place to go if you're looking for a dead dad.
So there we go, using the joystick. Able to jump, move around. I know we're showing about 20 to 30 frames per second, but as far as what we're seeing here and moving around, he's not having an issue. There's no lag, there's no delays. Working really well. So we'll go ahead and press menu. Go ahead and press continue. We'll go ahead and press exit. Go ahead and closes out that on the PSP. It doesn't actually give that next sub-menu. It brings it right back to the platform, which is really nice on this feature. So there we go, bringing it back up to the front main menu. That's a wrap of me installing MuOS, taking two SD cards, my old Silly Goose and my Jacandra, and basically taking the games, the ROMs and files, and putting them to the Funky Jacandra and setting it up. So now I have this as my build. So again, thanks for the patience and walkthrough and enjoying. And from Beyond the Emulator, have a great day and happy gaming.